The pentatonic scale is a legendary study for us as guitar players. Its use by every well-known guitar player in the last 70 years has literally generated the canon for blues and rock-based soloing for our instrument. So naturally, we gravitate to it. We yearn to master it. Well, I don't know if you noticed, but simply yearning for something doesn't always get you reliable results. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Chris. Today you will learn the best method to master the pentatonic scale. Now, the pentatonic scale is one of the first things I learned, but I remember spending years feeling like I had it down, but I still couldn't get the results I wanted. And I feel like this is the plight of the self-educating guitarists, right? We learn something, we sort of get it good enough, and then we move on. But in order to get great results, we have to complete our training in that thing to get those results, and that's where the hard work comes in. If you're enjoying this channel and my teaching style, you like the information that I'm providing, and you want to get a little bit deeper, consider joining me on my online guitar academy called The Studio. The Studio is a community platform that also features educational content as well. There's a large library of individual lessons there. There are courses there. I also hold live courses and host live events, and I'm giving guitar players feedback all the time. Now, I know an online community, an online guitar academy might not be for everybody, but I have a 7-day free trial. If you're interested, just check it out. See what you think. You might be able to complete a course or two, maybe even make a friend. If it's not a good fit for you, I totally get it. If you do decide to stick around, I look forward to working with you. So I spent a long time not really understanding what a really proper foundation in the study of the pentatonic scale actually looked like. I didn't know the difference between what was important to work on and what wasn't important to work on. But after years of musical experience, gigging in bars, taking guitar lessons, teaching guitar lessons, going to music school, I finally sort of pieced together what I had been missing, and I came up with a method that worked for me. It got me great results. So let's zoom in. I want to show you this method and also give you a peek into the level of effort that's involved to really master this scale. Here we go. Okay, so I've got this method sort of broken out into chunks or stages. No matter how well you know this scale, going through these steps will help you. If you're struggling, like you're not really familiar with it, this is going to help you get that fretboard familiarity that you need so that there are no sort of dark spots, no fog of war where you can't see what's going on. It's going to clear all that up for you. If you're already pretty adept with this scale, going through these steps is going to sort of help close any gaps or sort of bring along any capability that you might have missed or that you might have overlooked. Stage number 1 is to memorize the 5 shapes. Now, you may or may not know this, but anytime you learn a scale on the guitar, that's the G minor pentatonic scale starting on the E string. Anytime you learn any scale, it has 5 different positions, variations, places where those notes invert and recur again on different strings. Because of the nature of the way the guitar is tuned and the way the fretboard is designed, those shapes all look different, which is a bit of a cognitive load. I know for a fact that I took a long time to sort of convince myself that this was an important thing to do, but it totally is. We're going to be in the key of G minor. This is the G minor pentatonic scale. You could call this position 1. I've heard people call it position 5. You can call it Maynard. It doesn't really matter. It's where I'm starting. The next position of that scale, the place where those notes reoccur, is right here, and it looks like this. The next one is here. If you haven't noticed this already, it's important to realize that the notes that are on the high side of one position are the same notes on the low side of the next position. It's kind of helpful to look at that and notice it as you're memorizing these. The next position looks like this. And the final position looks like this. Now, each one of those looks different, and each one of those requires a little bit of different fingering, and that can be a high cognitive load. If any of these positions are hard for you, or whichever one is coming along slowly, or the one that has the most errors in it. One of the things you can do, which I think is very helpful, is take any one of those positions and push it up the fretboard chromatically. What I mean by chromatically is just going every single fret. So I know this one pretty well. Let's say this next one is giving me fits. It's just not doing it for me. I can't get used to it. It's killing me, right? So I'm going to get my metronome out. This one's set at 70 beats per minute. You just want to set it at something that you can definitely get through this exercise error-free with. I'm going to play the shape that's giving me troubles. I'm going to push it down to the bottom of the neck. I'm going to play it. I'm going to ascend it. When I get to the top, I'm going to go up a half step and descend the same position, that same pattern. So I'm going to be changing keys all the time, but that's not important, because what I'm doing is I'm trying to memorize the pattern. So here's the one that's giving me trouble. Slide up, descend the same pattern, slide up, slide up, right? Go all the way up, all the way down, with whichever one of these is giving you trouble or is the hardest one for you. Do that exercise with it, guarantee you it'll clean it right up. Then you'll be able to reinsert it into the overall pattern. The next step is to get them all connected as one thing. We just did that. We just sort of did each one of the shapes. But now what we're going to do is do it with a metronome and make sure that we can play through these and shift between them easily. So we're going to play the first position and then slide up and descend the next position. Slide up, ascend the next one. Slide up, descend the next one. Now, the thing to do is to set your metronome for something that makes sense, where you can get through this error-free. And here's what it looks like. Again, we're in G minor here. Ascending the first one, slide up, descend the next. Now reverse. And we're done. Right? That might be harder than you think. Getting it error-free is the most important thing. Once you get it error-free, you can start to speed it up. But when you do this for the first couple of times, you're going to really be paying attention to your synchronization. Wherever there are errors, you might want to go back one stage, grab that position and really sort of rake it through the fretboard, go up and down, and then reinsert it. The idea here is that we're playing the whole thing together, right? And we're able to play it in time, ascending and descending on any one of those specific shapes. The next stage is getting to know the scale's sound in each one of the positions. And the way we're going to do this is simply play the scale from the root to the root. So it's a little bit less about the positions and more about how the scale sounds and how it is fingered in each one of the positions. Let me show you what I mean. Here's my G minor. The roots for this position are on the E strings and the D string. So I'm going to simply play from the root to the root, ascending, and then go back again. I'm going to do that as many times as I can. In other words, finding the roots in each one of the positions. So here's what it looks like. Root to root, ascending and descending. Here's my next root. I have another root here. Right? That's what it sounds like in that position. In the next position, my roots are on the D string and the B string. So playing root to root here looks like this. I'm getting into the sound of the scale in each one of the positions. In the next position, my roots are on the A string and the B string. Playing root to root in this position looks like this. In the next position, my roots are on the A string and the G string now. A string, G string. Root to root looks like this. In that last position, my roots again are on the E string and the G string now. Root to root. And then here again. So for each one of these positions, I've now found the scale sort of inside it, and I've played from the root to get the sound of the scale in my head and the way that sound feels in my fingers on each one of the positions. Okay, the next stage is to get the whole thing done in every key. Now this is a real slog. This is another one that I avoided for a long time. I've had students say, well, why do I need every single key? Why would I, if I've got it memorized, what does it matter? Well, if you ever go to a blues jam or you're ever trying to learn a song and it's in B flat and you've never played that scale before, you're gonna have a hard time. So here's how I do it. I'm gonna use the circle of fifths. Here's the circle of fifths. It doesn't matter if you know the circle of fifths or not. It's just a great way to get through all 12 keys and sort of keep our brains awake. What we're going to do is find the lowest note we can, the lowest root. For this, we're going to start on C. Where's our lowest C? And then we're going to map the C minor pentatonic scale. And the way we're going to do it is once we find that lowest note, here's my lowest C. If I just play root to root, which I just worked on, I know that my position is actually starting here. Right? Now I know what position I'm in, and now I can connect the whole matrix together. So I just played all of the C minor scale everywhere, right? The next one in the circle is G. We already did G. Right, so I've got that down. The next one in the circle is D, right? So where's my D? Here's one right here. Now I also know that playing root to root on the A string can also look like this. And when I know when I have that shape, it looks like this. Now I know where I am in the matrix, I can just start the pattern and put the whole key of D down. You get really familiar with these patterns after you do this a couple times. So I'm not going to do the whole circle. That would take a little while, but now you know how to do it. Go to the next note, find the lowest version of that note, play root to root, figure out what position you're in, put that position down, apply the matrix. You will have played the minor pentatonic scale in every single key. That's a really big deal. Okay, the next one is sequencing. Now sequencing simply means we're just going to take the scale and instead of playing the notes straight through, we're just going to play them in a different sequence. Now, this is a lifelong study. You can imagine that making up sequences, it's sort of like how many chess games are available. It's sort of the never-ending thing. You can make up sequences for the rest of your life, and it's really important to do that. I'm going to give you a simple one, and that one is simply playing 4 notes in a row from each note in the scale. In other words, I'm going to play 4 notes in a row from here. This is G minor again. I'm going to play 4 notes from here, 4 notes from the next note in the scale, and the next one, then from here, then from here. Sounds like this when you put them all together. Be sure you can do that backwards as well. You're going to want to be able to do that same sequence through all the positions. Come backwards. Right? Be able to do that through all the positions, right? And these sequences, again, you can make up any ones you want, and as long as you push them through all the positions, you can leverage that sequence in your soloing anywhere you want, in any key. The next one is to learn the scale linearly. Now, we've largely looked at it in patterns, right? Vertical patterns across the neck. Now what we're going to do is look at it in a linear fashion. And the way we're going to do it is just play the first 4 notes of each position on a set of 2 strings. So we're going to start with these 2 strings. Right? Here's my first position. Right? Just play the first 4 notes. Go up to the next position, play those 4 notes. Go up to the next one, the next one, the next one, and then we're back again. Play it backwards. Now do the same thing from the next set of strings. Backwards. Same thing from the center set of strings. You'll start to see patterns here. Next set of strings is the G and B string. This is a little tough. And then that last set. Right, so we've just played all of the scale, but we've played it in this linear fashion, sort of like scooting across the positions, right? This allows us to begin to see the scale in a linear way and not just vertically. When we combine these ideas, we get real mastery of the scale across the fretboard in any direction. Last thing I want to show you is a couple of examples of playing this scale utilizing all of the stuff we just worked on. So I'll show you one, a descending one in G minor. I'm going to start way up here. And I'll play it for you first, and then I'll sort of explain what it is I'm doing. Now this is just a 4-note sequence. I'm literally just playing this. That's 4-note sequence. Right? And I just did it in that position. But by utilizing slides and these two string 4-note chunks, I'm able to move to a different part of the neck much more easily. Whereas the end of this phrase sounds a little tubby and is hard to play. When I shear it out like that, it's much easier. this idea utilizes all the stuff we've already worked on. Here's another one that's ascending, same thing, G minor. Now that may look a little bit more complex, and it is, but it's not that hard. I'm just using the ideas we've talked about today. I'm using 4, 5, and 3 note sequences, and I'm sliding along those two string 4 note chunks. Putting a little blues phrase at the end. But as you can see, I'm just using sequencing and sliding and these sort of 2 string 4 note chunks to move me across the fretboard in a different direction, so I'm not feeling always locked inside a position, right? These are good examples of how using these stages and going through them methodically can get you the results and the fretboard freedom to move in unusual directions and to start building a vocabulary that's a little more flexible and a lot more musical. All right, so this method and those stages are one way to really ensure that you've got mastery of this scale. There are other ways, but this one's worked for me, and I hope it works for you. Anything less than this sort of effort or capability isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just incomplete, right? You won't be able to get where you want to go or get the super great results that you might want without some sort of method and a commitment to a level of effort. Now, the good news is that this won't take forever, right? But it does require focus. If you want those results, you have to commit to completing these drills until the errors are gone, right? And it's nice and smooth and it's really under your fingers. And then after that, sort of like magic, this capability will just seep in. And when you're playing a guitar solo or you're playing over a backing track, you'll just have better capability. Tabs for this lesson are available on my Patreon page. And I've even included the tabs of those examples where I sort of stitch it all together. So if you'd like the tabs, head on over there. As always, I hope you found this lesson interesting. I hope it was inspiring for you. Above everything else, stay curious. I'll see you next time.